He fought for his country, but returned from war a broken man in the heart of late 19th century France. A soldier named Joseph Vacher came home. The year was 1893. He carried the scars of military service, not just on his body, but deep within his mind. This bitterness, this instability, was a powder keg waiting for a spark. And that spark came in the form of rejection. When the woman he loved turned him away, his world shattered. In a fit of despair and rage, he shot her and then turned the gun on himself. Both survived, but Vacher was left with a disfiguring wound and a psyche that had tipped over the edge. He was no longer just a soldier. He was becoming something else entirely. Out of the asylum and into the open, Vacher began to drift across the French countryside. To the farmers and villagers he met, he was just another pitiable vagrant, a poor soul wandering from town to town, seeking odd jobs and a bit of charity. He played the part well with his quiet demeanor and downcast eyes. But beneath this mask of a harmless drifter, a monstrous evil was stirring. As he walked the lonely dirt roads and slept in the quiet fields, his dark thoughts festered, twisting into a horrifying new purpose. The rural landscape, once a symbol of peace, was about to become his hunting ground. The tranquility of the countryside was shattered. Mourning with the disappearance of a young shepherd boy, panic gripped the small community as search parties combed the fields. Hours later, the worst fears were realized. The boy's body was discovered, brutally murdered and mutilated. The innocence of the pastoral scene was stained with an unimaginable horror. It was an act of savagery that defied explanation, leaving a community paralyzed by fear and grief. This was only the beginning. The quiet wanderer had shown his true face, and the reign of terror had begun. From 1894 to 1897, a dark shadow fell over rural France. The first murder was not an isolated incident. It was the first chapter in a horrifying saga. At least 11 more victims, men, women, and children, met the same gruesome fate. The pattern was always the same: sudden, brutal attacks characterized by strangling, stabbing, and horrific mutilation. Panic spread like wildfire. Newspapers ran sensational headlines. Police circulated crude sketches of a mysterious bearded man. And terrified villagers whispered of a werewolf, a loup-garou, or some unholy beast roaming the fields and forests. The killer became known as the French Ripper, a phantom who struck without warning and vanished without a trace, leaving a trail of terror in his wake. The wave of fear finally broke in 1897. Vacher, growing bolder and more reckless, attacked a woman working in a field. But this time, his victim fought back. Her screams alerted her husband and other villagers who were nearby. They didn't hesitate. Armed with pitchforks and whatever they could grab, they gave chase. The predator became the prey in a chaotic, torch-lit pursuit through the fields. The villagers cornered and overpowered him. The beast who had haunted their nightmares was finally unmasked. The quiet drifter was captured, and his bloody pilgrimage across France came to an abrupt and violent end. Once in custody, the full, horrifying truth began to unravel. Joseph Vacher confessed. He admitted to the string of brutal murders that had terrorized the nation. But his confession came with a chilling justification. He claimed he wasn't a murderer, but a divine instrument. God told me to cleanse the world, he declared, his words echoing with a terrifying conviction. He insisted he was driven by an insatiable rage, a divine madness that compelled him to kill. His defense team argued for insanity, painting him as a man broken by his war experiences and medical treatments. But the court saw something else. They saw calculation, cruelty, and a profound evil that madness alone could not explain. The insanity plea was rejected. On the final day of the year, December 31st, 1898, Joseph Vacher met his end. As the dawn broke, he was led to the guillotine. His execution marked the end of a dark chapter in French history. But his case left a lasting legacy. The trial of the French Ripper forced the legal and medical systems to confront the complex relationship between crime and mental illness. It spurred a revolution in forensic science and became a foundational case in the development of criminal psychiatry in France. The horrific acts of one man changed how a nation understood the very nature of evil. and his shadow would loom large over the future of criminology. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into a dark corner of history. If you find these true crime stories as fascinating as we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next investigation. And as always, let us know in the comments who you think we should cover next. Stay curious. And we'll see you in the next video.